everybody. Howdy, welcome to the Middlesex Select Board meeting for 5:00 PM on Tuesday, February 3rd. Welcome to our guests online and also in the audience. And if you want to speak, you just raise your hand, state your name, and then so that Carol can get our. But you don't have to state your name unless you're talking. Okay, so we're going to approve the minutes of January 20th, which is right here, 2026 regular select board meeting. Oh, okay, sorry, yep.
I'm going to keep it.
No, that's all right, thanks. Just, yeah, no, that's fine. I just didn't hear you. I mean, I did, but I ignored you.
It's fine, I'm used to it.
But what I realized too is that we don't have the minutes from the January 26th, so we're gonna have to approve those at next. That was for the warning.
26th or the 29th, right? Was that a mini meeting?
That was the mini meeting, yeah, for the,
29. It is the 29th.
okay, I said the 26th, yeah, the 29th, yeah. But that's okay. So right now, we're just going to approve the minutes from the January 20th meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? And it looks like we had there.
Everyone.
Yeah. So is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Paul moves. Is there a second?
I'll say it.
Okay, Larry seconds. All those in favor of approving January 20th minutes, say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Carol, just as an FYI, Zara is not at tonight's meeting. Okay, is there a motion to approve today's agenda? And are there any, before we do that, are there any amendments to the agenda?
Do you have any amendments or?
No. Anyone not have any amendments to the agenda? Okay. Okay, so hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda for Tuesday, February 3rd?
I will make.
Okay, thanks. Otherwise, we're not having a meeting. All right.
Sorry, I was chewing.
Let's get a second.
I'll second it.
All right, Larry seconds. All those in favor of approving tonight's minutes, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. All right. So gang, we're kind of bad about signing things, so I'm gonna sign this right now, okay? I'm gonna pass it around so that everybody gets their signature on. Oh, okay, here we go. Sorry about that, Sean. All righty. Okay. So we are now at 5:05. Almost, and we are going to do our highway report and FEMA road work update from Eric. So Eric sent us his bi-monthly road report.
Yep. So as far as repairs, we did some repairs on the sander chains that are two of the trucks, the International and Freightliner, and the adjust the tensioners. We had to do some repairs on those. Those were done. On Old Brook Road, they were gonna be doing the core drilling, Thursday and probably Friday morning. They don't believe it's gonna impact travel. I went down and, moved all the snow with a loader today to make sure they could get off the road as far as they can, so.
This is Fitzgerald Engineering, Carol.
And, visited South Bear Swamp with Paul yesterday, which he'll be talking about that, and then we've been doing plow and sand.
Alrighty. Oh, I know what I was gonna ask you.
Yeah.
Related to this was, I printed out, it was Zara's question. About Jaren waiting on some permits. Yeah. This thing, the email from Isabella Keatley. So Jaren had sent an email that said, "Hi all. I wanted to provide," thank you.
Yep.
"Hi all, I wanted to provide a quick update I received from A&R in reference to East Hill and Lower Sunnybrook for 4720 permitting. Please see the message below from Jaren." Oh, this was Isabella from the state. So here's Jaren's message. We have after the fact application for a crossing on East Hill Road, which appears to match with our reported coordinates of 44 dot blah, blah, blah. We have coordinated with the town on appropriate corrective measures to assure compliance with Vermont stream alteration rule.
Yep.
But are awaiting materials for review.
I'm not sure if I'm on
Which would-
spot or not.
which thing is right?
Right.
So say that again.
That'll be done in the spring when they can get to it.
So-
It's a very minimal thing they have to do. It's literally probably an hour's worth of work.
Okay, and that's the materials for review.
Yeah. We couldn't do it until springtime.
Gotcha, okay. And is this a part of our corrective action?
Yep.
Okay. East Hill, why does that not ring a bell? Was that one of them? And that's one of the
You
ones.
didn't go to it.
I didn't go to it, right, okay.
Like I said, it's very, very minimal.
Okay, good, all right, so you're all set with this, okay, perfect. I'm gonna go like that.
Perfect.
Okay, does anyone have any questions and thank you for doing the pushing down the snowbanks.
Mhm.
That was nice, so you did it for the mailboxes, for some people's mailboxes, or am I making that up?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Everyone down.
Okay, but what I wanted,
Every place that was
yeah.
crouching out in the road.
Yeah, because I just wanted to say that like when you're taking turns, the small cars can't see over the snowbanks, but it's nice for them to knock them down because otherwise you're just taking your life into your own hands. Okay. Any questions from the board or the public to the road people? Alrighty.
Oh, I have a
Yeah.
comment when I've needed. Just a big thanks, for the road crews work last week with all the snow we got. From sunlight last Sunday to into Monday. The roads look amazing and, I feel like they're just, so just appreciating what they do. And knowing that they're out there at terrible hours on weekends and at night, to make sure that we're all able to drive around safely. So,
Yep, I would agree. The roads looked great after that storm. Thank you. Thank you, Stacy. Okay. So,
I think the next thing would be the mileage.
oh, right, yeah. So next on the agenda is, consider approving the certificate of highway mileage, year ending 2/10. What this basically is, what do we have for class 1 roads, class 2 roads, class 3 roads? And let's see, added mileage, subtracted mileage.
Yes, the state did,
Looks like we have some.
well, they just modified, a couple of the roads where it was incorrect on their data
Gotcha.
where we stopped. So they just had to modify it, and it's a short amount, it's like.
Yeah, very tiny amounts.
Yeah.
So you'll see that like they took out 0.06 miles of class 3. So just for your reference, everyone, we have 32 miles of class 3, and class 2, which are dirt roads, right? Or
Not
main
necessarily.
thoroughfares. Oh, right, they might have some. So like, you said Center Road is a class 2 because it's a throughway, is that right? Something like that, right? But it's also has pavement and back road.
Main arteries through town are class 2.
Okay,
One more, please.
okay, John Riley. Alrighty. Okay, and we've got 9 miles of class 4, 9.14. And we have 3.51 plus 0.07. Well, so now we have 3.44 of legal trail and 9.36 of class 4. And other classes is 65.05. So we have 65 miles of
That
class
takes into
of roads.
consideration the state roads.
Oh, it does, yeah, it does have the state roads. Yeah, 17 miles of state highway.
Mhm.
So what is that, like in Middlesex?
Route 2,
Yeah,
5.
Route 2, okay, cool. All right. So you guys are really maintaining the 15.9 of class 2, the 32.13 of class 3,
Yeah, I think it's.
and sometimes a little bit of a class 4 in the summer, but not really.
Right, it
Okay.
works out to be close to 48 miles.
Yep, that's what it looks like, 48 miles. Yeah, okay, cool. So we all have to sign, so we have to make a motion to approve this certificate of highway mileage year ending February 10th, 2026. And that we are signing that the mileage of highways according to Vermont statutes annotated Title 19, Section 305, added 1985 is as follows, and that's what I just stated, which were these the sizes of our class 1, 2, 3 state highways, lanes, class 4, and legal trails. Is there a motion to approve the certificate of highway mileage?
I'll make it.
I will move to approve the certificate as stated.
Okay, Stacy moves. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the highway mileage?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the ayes have it.
Can you scan that to for
Liz?
signed?
Yeah.
I will submit it.
Okay.
It's Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Can you just clarify who, I was typing up the motion, who moved and who seconded?
Stacy moved and Larry seconded, and we all
Thank you.
approved.
Thank
Yep.
you.
So can you pass that around and sign it, please? Okay. So updates on FEMA payments from Zara. So Zara's not here tonight, but we do have some updates. So did she send it to you, Carol, so that you don't have to? But I'll just basically say, it looks like 2 of the last 3 roads from the 2023 flood, which is called FEMA 4720, have been paid to the state from the feds, and the money is on its way to the town of Middlesex. Hurrah! 90% is the Fed share, 7.5% is the state share, and then the town will be responsible for 2.5% share. Now, Zara said, I believe, with the believe in italics, so she doesn't know for sure, that this would pay off the last of the loans outstanding to pay for all of our prior FEMA work. And so Cheryl, she says, East Hill Road is 798,000 and some change. And Lower Sunnybrook is 740,000 and some change. And she said of this amount being paid, 329,000 is prepayment for work that will be done this spring and summer.
Awesome.
So that's good. The last road project for 2023 for 4720 flood is Portal, which was just pushed from review and will be obligated and repaid soon in the amount of 282,000.
It's the best update we've had since.
This is a great update. Yeah. So then she says the last road unpaid for the 2024 flood, which is 4810 FEMA, is Brook Road. That has moved from, quote, large project review to, quote, obligated. Also really good news this week, which means the money will be paid to us sometime in the next few months. This has a little bit of a higher town share. This is 75% Fed share, 17.5% state share, and 7.5% town share. And drum roll, please. The Brook Roll Road totaled $1,410,570.77.
Awesome.
All right.
So really, Zara is down in DC rattling cages.
Yes.
Not on vacation.
No, she's not. I know. She's
Knock
down.
on doors.
She's down telling FEMA that they need to give us our money. So what's next? She says for 2023, the 4720 front, we have received extensions to complete some culverts still needed for McCullough, Lower Sunnybrook, and South Bear and Norton. Okay.
Yep.
And all of these are being engineered now and will go out to bid to contractors. For the that's through Fitzgerald is engineering those?
That's almost completely accurate.
Yeah.
McCullough Hill is not being engineered.
Oh, it says it will be completed by the crew in the spring. Yeah, okay. For 2024 4810, we have asked for extensions to continue repairs on 4 to 6 roads. She's not sure exactly, but she has Old Brook, Daniels Farm, French Road, Bulldog Road, and then she's highlighted McCullough and Norton/Notch.
Yeah, the McCullough is not being engineered, but Norton is.
Norton is, what about Notch?
Notch is done. Norton and Notch were one combined,
I see, but not Norton still needed work. Okay, got
a
it.
little bit, yeah.
These roads are being engineered and will go out to bid soon. The good news, all caps, good. Many of the projects were overestimated by FEMA due to all the work our crew has done and other factors. We can keep the overage as long as those funds are used to improve our roads or things related to improving our roads. Furthermore, as soon as we have completed all projects and they are paid out, we will also be paid back at 100% on the interest on the loans we needed to take out and the salaries we paid our FEMA coordinators. So this is all good news.
That's awesome.
And this is all, will be really good news when we actually have the money in our accounts, right?
That's
And so what I wanted to say, just so you guys get a sense of this, like, you know how, Plainfield had storm damage too, and this doesn't count the Brook Road that they had, which was that was a state problem, that wasn't a town problem. But they ended up doing all the work themselves and they got the money from FEMA, right? So they have, their budget increase is like 2%. Because they have this extra money.
They were able to do it.
They were able to do it, yes, they were able to do it in kind. And so this is what you're hearing from Zara, is that a lot of this work was done by our crew that they're still paying us for. And our crew maybe got overtime, but not to the extent necessarily of all the FEMA payments. So this is really good news that we may have some extra money. But again, not counting my chickens till they are hatched. I'm not gonna be the lady with the milk in the basket and it spills when I think I'm gonna go sell it at the farm. Remember that old fable? Let's just say I'm not gonna start spending this money until it's actually.
There you go. I like that.
I would say we just put it in the bank.
Right. Okay, so thank you, Zara, for that amazing update. Is there anyone, I see some people from option and things. Is there any questions that anyone has about the road work or the FEMA stuff? No hands are raised that I can see. Alrighty.
If there's an overage, can we buy Eric a hot pack machine? He's been dreaming of it for a while.
Yeah, we might be able to. I think that there's some limitations, but I think it's road equipment, Zara thinks may be a part of that.
Yeah, it seems like it's road adjacent.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, let's not count our chickens before they're
Don't
hatched.
get too excited.
Don't get too excited.
And yeah, it might still be another couple of years before it all.
There might be a weasel in the bushes.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
There it is.
You have to.
Okay. Okay, any updates from Liz Sharp? No, just what you said, that Fitzgerald Engineering was gonna do the core samples.
Yep.
So that's related to our notice of alleged violation,
No,
No,
Isn't it?
totally separate.
no, that's related to the one.
Oh, right, that's related to
Old Brook
to
Road.
Old Brook Road, right, being repaired, right, okay. Alrighty, so we have a little time before Susan Clark gets here, so I wonder do you think we have time to do to approve the purchasing policy? I think we do.
Yeah.
Unless any, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say something before you guys go?
Yeah.
So a couple things that happened was I paid it Vermont Bond Bank back $1 million back in December.
Yeah.
And then I paid Community Bank, we actually owe Community Bank no money at this point. I had to pay them $1.7 million, but I had paid them like a little bit of money here and there,
Yeah.
totaling about 500,000, just to kind of knock down the principal sum. So we have another payment that's due, that's coming up on March, like the beginning of March sometime. And it's for that 900 something thousand for the two loans that were split in two different pieces.
Yeah.
And because we have a school payment of like $1.6 million that's coming up as well, I can't pay
Can't
back that
vote.
loan. I can't pay back both pieces
Right,
of that.
okay,
So we may have to rewrite
might have to rewrite.
that 982,000 in order to be able to have enough money to pay back the school for now. Cause I just gotta go balance those two payments out.
Okay, so you owe 900,000 and Zara said that if this money actually came through.
And that money, the money that's been obligated up there at the top, we won't see that for a couple months.
The 798.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the
it's gonna
17.
take some time.
So what's the thing about it is every time we rewrite a loan, we have to actually pay the lawyer to pull the paperwork and do all that. So it'll be another like $1,500 again to rewrite the loan, but we don't have a choice. I can't do both.
Right, you can't do both. You can't pay
Right.
both, right?
And if I can't pay one part and the other, another part. So it has
No,
to
no, no, yeah, yeah,
be one or the other.
yeah. Well, the school, I think, we can't take out a loan.
No, we
for the
can't. We only have 30 days from, we have 30 days from February 20th to make the payment to the school from February 20th.
school. Okay,
But, funny thing is they have no recourse. They have no idea what they would do if we ever told them we couldn't pay them.
right,
So
okay, cool.
I called and asked them. I said, well, what happened? So I was just curious and
How
they said,
much is the school payment?
it's like right at 1.5, it's at 1.18.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we have a big budget, we're not, when our tax bills go out, we're not adding all that money.
Okay,
Full payments.
thank you, Cheryl. Okay, so we're just gonna jump to the agenda item of, the Middlesex procurement policy, which we spent a lot of time already talking about. Rob Halpert, thank you for pulling this together, by the way, Stacy. And so this is largely modeled off of Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns, document, with some adjustments to it. And Rob Halpert had just said, it's probably smart to take out links because those links can be then, like, referred to, like, you can, whatever you've signed, you're also signing all of those links as well. So Stacy did that and
Yeah. It's clean, there's
Yep.
no hyperlinks, and otherwise it's substantive, like, it just tracks the goals of the select board to facilitate, like, streamline the process
Yep.
for purchases up to 30,000. And then just sets forth a really very clear process for bidding out projects over that amount for both the town and if it's a state or federal project. So,
And you added the town administrator, so that was good in case we have one. So that's good. And okay, does anyone have any questions for Stacy about this?
Awesome job, Stacy.
Yeah.
And Rob has looked at.
Yeah,
that.
Rob looked this over and approved it, and his only suggestion was that we take out the hyperlinks. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's what she did. So what we're going to do is adopt it. So we need a motion to adopt the Middlesex, because we didn't have one, right?
we
Did they-
did,
Okay, so
so the one.
this is an update.
This would be, it. Yeah, I guess it is, it would be, someone would need, we would want a motion to. Adopt this policy and thereby replace the existing purchasing policy, which I think is from like April 2015.
Okay.
It's been updated a little, it's been updated periodically. You don't know what the most recent version is, but I think we would just say that this supersedes any prior policies, purchasing or procurement policies adopted by the town.
Okay.
So as like a clean slate.
That sounds like a motion to me.
Sure.
I'll second that motion.
Ditto.
Did you get that?
Yes, got it.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so you moved, Stacy moved it, you seconded it,
Yes.
Larry seconded it. All those in favor of adopting the Middlesex procurement policy on February 3rd, 2026, that supersedes any previous purchasing policies from the town, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the ayes have it, and congratulations, we did it before town meeting. We gotta go, yay.
Cross that off.
Yeah, take it off the list, at the bottom was the next agenda.
Exactly. All right, so this is February 3rd today, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, please sign that. Alrighty, and Susan is here. Welcome, Susan.
Hello.
So let's see, is there anyone waiting? So Susan is here. Susan, were you expecting anyone else to come? Like, should we wait until 5:30?
I don't know. I mean, you mean anybody else from the socials committee? No.
So we have Susan Clark here, and so you don't mind starting at 5:25, right?
I don't mind.
Okay, good. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you.
So Susan Clark is here from the Town Meeting Solution Committee to update us on their activities, including the 2026 town meeting preparations. I put action possible just in case you have some requests that we need to do something for, but I don't know. So, okay, so Susan, if you want, you can, actually, Susan, start talking.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see you up there. Why don't you come down? Why don't you come over here?
Okay.
Yeah, down, Cheryl, please. So.
Thank you. Seat am I sitting in?
Mine.
Oh, you have two.
Well, I'm sitting, I'm manning or, staffing the Zoom.
Her words, not ours.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, great. Yeah, I'm Susan Clark and I am representing the Town Meeting Solutions Committee and I'm also the town moderator, so I can put on that hat later in this conversation if that's useful. But for those of you who may not know, the Solutions Committee was created in 2001 by you, the select board, in response to we had a town meeting where we talked about whether we should switch away from town meeting and go to Australian ballot. And the vote was no, we wanted to keep town meeting, but we wanted to make it better. And so you appointed a Solutions Committee. And so 2001 was a really long time ago. And we have like acres and acres of minutes when this committee was meeting as a committee. But since COVID, it has been acting more like a network. So you're not going to see warnings for the Solutions Committee, but you are going to see the Solutions Committee doing things. And so I kind of wanted to let you know that's where things are at. And I'll tell you some of the things that we do, and you can tell me how that feels in terms of open meeting law and all those kind of things. So, and I also want to make sure, I would love to have any ideas from you about things that this network can be useful to you for. Some of the things that over the years we have realized that Middlesex needed and so have taken on is organizing childcare for town meeting. So that's something that we do, and that's funded in recent years through the Middlesex Community Fund so that it's free. Because there's some really good data that shows that increases participation in town meeting, especially among women. Coordinating a dinner so that folks can, basically participate in democracy, but not have to worry about a meal afterwards. And it's also a community building thing. And that is also supported by the community fund. By the way, your chair, Liz Sharp, used to make the spaghetti dinner
Back in the day.
3 years before she was on the select board, and then she had to give up that particular job. And that's done by the Brumney cook volunteer. We organize transportation for town meeting, although most people, we've had very little requests for that. We organize the microphone runners, the little 6th graders, 5th graders who run around with the microphones.
And is that happening? Because I've got a special request to find that information in.
Yes, oh, I'm so glad. That's great. That's great. Yes, you're on my list.
It's been a big topic, yeah.
Yeah, it's very much happening, and actually, we are gonna contact all of last year's microphone runners, including Paul's daughter. Let's see if we can get them. One question that I have for you is, every year we organize a welcome new voter letter. And so that's when I go to the town clerk and ask for anybody who's been added to the checklist since last year's town meeting. And we get their names and addresses and send them a letter that just basically says, hey, yippee you, you're on the, and this is the letter. It sort of explains democracy in Middlesex. It's kind of like, here's how we do it. This is, you're going to vote by ballot when we elect officers, but there's the meeting and tells them where to get information on candidates. And it is signed by the select board and the Solutions Committee. And it is paid for out of your budget.
The photo, the mailing.
No, just the mailing. Yeah, just the stamps. Basically, the Solutions Committee does all the mailing. So I'm thinking, generally, there's like maybe 50 voters a year. And on a presidential election year, you get way more, but maybe 50 new voters, which at current postage rates is going to cost you maybe $40 or $50. So this is assuming that anyone gets their mail. I don't get my mail anymore.
Well, FedEx then. How about?
I just got some Christmas cards, called them about the thing.
Wow. All right.
Are they for next this year?
I don't know.
So another thing we do is organize a candidate profile page. Basically, anybody casting a ballot should at least have a fighting chance of knowing who they're voting yes for, since most of our, I think maybe all this year of our people running for office are not running opposed. Still, it's nice to know. And we just ask, we do it with League of Women Voters, and it's their questions are, tell us about yourself, tell us about why you're interested in this office, and what do you think are the most interesting issues facing the town today. So it's basically, it's kind of, you know, introduce yourself. And then we publicize that on Front Porch Forum.
Have you asked us that yet?
Nope,
Okay,
no,
good.
not yet. Coming up though, we publicize the Orca live stream of town meeting, which is great for people who can't attend. For years, Middlesex did offer a remote participation. You could participate from home. And that was a really cool program, but the Secretary of State's office is not telling towns not to do that until they figure out the statute. They need to change the statute because there's a whole bunch of places in the statute that mention present and voting, and they think it's complicated. I don't think it's complicated, but they do. And so anyway, we're not doing remote town meeting participation anymore, but people can watch from home. Last year we did a Mysteries of Middlesex happy hour thing that was like, it was an online event where people could just come and meet people who are running the different committees and figure out how to get involved, that kind of stuff.
Then we drank while we were.
Well, that was the idea, it was happy hour, so bring your beverage of choice, yes.
That might make town meeting.
Right.
Good or bad.
Yeah, right, true, good or bad, yes. So in terms of tonight, first, I guess, well, you can do it at the end, but an action item would be to make sure that you think that the letter from the select board and town meeting solutions committee is a good idea. And that you're willing to.
Can you pass that letter around? You might think.
Sure, yes. That's last year. And I'm just trying to think if there are other. So we've also done things like visioning, like we did the What's Next Middlesex event in 2018 that some of you are familiar with. That it was a big visioning process that was a day and a half, and we got community members to facilitate small group discussions and whatnot. There's a part of me that thinks that we might need something much smaller, but something along these lines to talk about what to do with our town hall. I'm just thinking that the facilities committee, you know, is on a roll in terms of the garage, but I feel like this town hall question is maybe a little trickier because questions about values and where do we, you know, what's a good location, what's a good size, all that kind of stuff. So I just want you to know that the solutions committee kind of stands ready to help with that, if that's a possibility down the road. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we put these on the chairs. These explain Robert's rule. Those kinds of things. If
And
they're
candy.
and candy.
Candy,
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, I think we need to buy more candy because I ran out when I was helping her.
I ordered 8 pounds candy from Amazon this week.
Oh, 8 pounds, I'm not sure that's enough.
Wait,
I mean, that's for during the day.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
for during the,
Just
that's
feed the
not,
troops.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
keep it
to,
for
that's to
troops.
give to the voters.
right, yes, you're being passing
Um,
through. So those are the kinds of things that the group does and can continue to do with your blessing. I wanted to make sure you know, so that you're not like, who the heck are those people? And why are they posting on Front Porch Forum about town meeting? And also any suggestions or ideas that you might have for ways to improve our democracy. And let's see. There's another thing. Oh, and if you're comfortable with our current formulation, which, like I said, is more of a network than a committee, or if you would like us to be more formal and, I mean, seriously, we used to meet every month, and then COVID came, and also we'd gotten a lot of the things that we do for town meeting just down to the science. And it just sort of felt like we didn't need to meet, we just needed to organize and do, and so it's more nimble and it's, people are more likely to do stuff if you don't tell them that they're on a committee, if they just do a task, so we're running as a network, but are you comfortable with that? So 2 questions, network, question mark, and letter to bookers.
My personal opinion on the network part, it's has not been broke. I see no reason to fix it. It works. I think everybody, especially new voters, appreciate the community outreach via Front Porch Forum. Even myself as a seasoned resident, I love hearing about it, all the little tidbits, things like that.
That they're called tidbits.
Yeah, and I think the involvement that it brings, I don't personally see that it needs more involvement from you guys on an official level than what it is. If we're required to, I guess that, you know, but if not, we know what can happen when folks are inundated and feel tied down, and I would hate to lose people over something that's not necessary.
Anybody? I don't think we need to make a motion for anything. No.
Doing what you're doing.
Keep
Yeah,
doing what you-
and I mean, I think maybe we want to make a motion to authorize the mailing of the
Mhm.
letter.
Which I'm in support of.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
support of that too. We'll take it out of the FEMA money that we're getting, that's $798,000.
Wait, did I miss something?
You did. You missed all the good FEMA things. No, I know.
Right.
Try to make that motion.
She talks about like.
Make that motion.
Steamrollers.
No, there might be some extra money. There might be.
I don't.
We're gonna, like we said, I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch, but yes, okay, so let's back to Susan. Okay, is there other stuff that you wanna talk about? Cause we can make a motion at the end.
I have a question. Would the group prefer to like rename itself if it's no longer functioning as like a town sponsored committee, subject to the open meeting laws? Like, I guess the thing that popped in my head is like, maybe you're like, you can just say you're like the Town Meeting Solutions Network, if that's something that the group likes, your cohort, your volunteers, whatever. But if it would like benefit the group for the select board to recognize the sort of reduced and like the like, it's kind of like a downgrading, because as a board appointed committee, you're subject to certain like reporting requirements, like, you know, there's things you have to do. But if you feel like that has been satisfied and the group would like continue to participate, like, it just, I don't know, I just sort of throwing that out there, like, does it make sense to rename the group to reflect what you're doing now? Friends of Town Meeting, I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah, that's great.
You know, so does that make sense? Yeah, those are my comments.
Well, it's a good question, and I honestly, I should know the answer to this, and I don't, whether just the name committee signifies anything in terms of open meeting law. I mean, I think that we are not a decision-making body, we are not a money-spending body, we're not authorized to do anything body. And so in that sense, I think that we're less beholden to to open meeting law. But I mean, you know, I'm not fussy about the name. I think it's a good idea to consider that. I do think that, I think it's valuable, for example, to report in the town report, because the stuff that we're doing is democracy. It's democracy. It is, I mean, our charge is to, just wondering, like, to improve participation in town meeting and civic affairs in general. So it's not that, you know, the Town Meeting Solutions Committee, it's always been a democracy solutions committee, you know, in a broader sense. So, so I don't know if the name matters, I'm happy to. Yeah,
Well, there are some, but you know, I think there are some, you know, statutes that talk about, I'm just looking at them now, about the open meeting law. And they talk about, you know, committees are included in that if they are, you know, appointed by the, or use the word appointed, I don't know if that's the right word, but if they're endorsed by the select board, I guess. So they are required to follow the open meeting laws. And
If it's what if it's like a working group?
yeah, I mean, see, yeah, so let's see, let's see. Every municipal board, council, commission, and committees legally defined as public bodies of a municipality is required to comply with the open meeting law. The law applies when there is a forum of the public body involved in a discussion or taking action. And the subject matter of the discussion is one over which the body has authority and responsibility. So that's a little vague, like you're not making decisions on behalf of the town, right? Like, so, so I could ask Rob Halpert what he thinks. And maybe Susan, if you wouldn't mind just pulling together a little summary of the things that you discussed.
Sure.
And I mean, it sounds like you're making decisions like, should we send out a letter? And we're saying, yes, you should. And so maybe that does make you a committee, but you're not making that decision on your own. You're coming to the board, so.
I mean, the reason that I'm coming to the board is because that is one of the very few times that we do a thing that you know, it's signed by you and you fund it. And so
Okay.
really, it's kind of like, yeah, you're doing it.
Or are we the ones signing that letter too, or is that from you?
No, it's from both of us.
Oh, okay,
It's from the select board and the solutions committee.
all right.
But we are organized like childcare. And it's, you know, on behalf of,
Yeah.
you know, to
Okay.
make town meeting work. I don't know. It's-
Okay, yeah, I remember we had this like issue with something really, it was like me, Sandy and what's his name? Doing the town hall work, right? Like, we weren't having public meetings. There was a reason, because all we were doing was coming to the Dave McGee. So the three of us, you know, were meeting and discussing town stuff all the time, you know, via email and phone calls and meetings. We couldn't, they weren't publicly warned meetings every time we had a email exchange between the three of us, right?
Because you weren't a committee, you were representatives of different committees.
Yeah, I guess
Called
so.
an old boys club, Liz.
I mean, we called us something. We were like just
Smoking.
a ragtag group of town meeting people, town hall people. So, okay, if that would be helpful, and then I can just ask Rob if he thinks that, you know, maybe we would want to do what you're saying. Yep.
So, okay, under like title 24, wait, never mind, that's Hartford. Yes, ask Rob.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I think we probably have the authority to create these committees. So then it's like a twofold question. Do these duties, the current action items for the town meeting solutions committee fall within, you know, trigger the open meeting law reporting requirements? And then if so, I think we have our answer, and if they don't, then maybe a rebranding is in order to.
Would you do me a favor and write that up for me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
But for now, I think what we can do is make a motion to approve sending a letter to the new voters since when, November?
No, since last time meeting.
Since last town meeting. And mailing them via US postal mailbox at the town's expense. Is there a motion to that?
What's the average? How many average?
He said 50.
50?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, but in the year, 50,
So it'd be like
I-
$40.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Okay,
Continue
Paul
sending the
moved.
letter.
To send the letter, Larry seconds. All those in favor of sending the letter, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Congratulations. Susan. You can send the letter.
And Cheryl, can you get me the addresses?
Okay,
Great, that would be great.
Alrighty.
And I think, only other thing is just wearing the town moderator hat. Are there any thoughts about helping make sure that the town meeting goes smoothly? The one thought that I had that I just want to say is that the question about hiring a town administrator seems like a really interesting one. I think it might develop, there might be some discussion. And I just want to be clear that I think that discussion needs to come under the budget, not under like reports from officers.
Yeah.
Because it is a money article. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in it, but it's within, it's embedded in the budget.
Right.
But, and then there will be discussion also about the town clerk position being appointed and the treasurer position being appointed.
Absolutely, and those are under their own articles.
Yeah, and you feel prepared for any kind of scenarios that might come up, like, I don't know,
Paper ballot,
counting, paper ballots, that kind of thing.
paper ballot we've talked about, and I know that Cheryl and Sarah have been having some back and forth. We should probably like really have a little discussion about that just to make sure. Because paper ballot is the one time that the town moderator kind of takes their hand off the wheel in terms of the vote count. But I mean, technically, there's actually a town moderator training coming up this weekend that I'm like helping with, and every year they tell us that the town moderator should not count.
Someone else should.
Yes, that it should be the Board of Civil Authority. The town moderator should turn around, turn their back on the group, and other people should be, and sometimes they'll even say, okay, you take this section from the aisle over, and you take the section from the aisle over, and then they come to the moderator and say, I got 35 and I got 72, okay, add that up, okay, now the noes. So that the moderator isn't seen to have their thumb on the scale in terms of vote counting. And for years I asked like Peter Hood, and he was like,
Makes sense.
just do it, it's no big deal. So I would love it if, I'm not sure who,
We're all on the Board of Civil Authority.
okay, I mean, are there other
But
members who work with?
It'd be a little conflicted as
Exactly.
board members.
Same as with, are there, the Board of Civil Authority also?
Well, who else is it? It's the justices of the peace.
JPs.
You're on the Board of Civil Authority. Okay, here's a question. If she's not voted, if on town meeting day, is she still town clerk
Yes,
until the vote after 7 or?
yeah, until the vote is counted.
Okay, so she could be participating as a Board of Civil Authority.
Mhm. She's running the election.
Right, okay,
Very
that's
much
right,
so,
yes, all right, well, we often don't have a crossover, we did last time. Okay,
So maybe I'll check who else is on the Board of Civil Authority. And yeah, Jan.
yeah, Janice, Chris McVeigh.
Melissa's gonna be working the election tables.
All right. I don't know. I mean, I've always.
We don't know that there's even gonna be a count.
No, most things we do by voice.
Oh, yeah, John Demner, Chris
vote.
McVeigh.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
all right, anything else for Susan before we move to the next agenda item? No, thank you, Susan.
Thank you, as
Thank you for your
usual.
work.
You're most welcome. And if anybody knows of a 17 or 18-year-old who would like to read our civil invocation this
Oh.
year, please let.
They could be
me know.
17?
Yeah, it's sometimes really hard to find 18-year-olds because that's right when they have blown the coop.
Yeah.
And they're already, wherever.
So basically like a senior in college, in high school, do you know what I mean?
The Aldrich boys, maybe,
Or not who they are?
Aldriches
Or
or,
something, should be Ultra Boys.
Not those two,
yeah.
all right,
I've got a couple neighbors who might,
okay,
yeah,
all right.
Maybe I'll email you, Paul?
do that.
Okay, great. I'll be doing that anyway.
You'll be
Great, well, thank you very much for all of your.
You're welcome, thank you. Excuse me. All righty,
Right
what?
on the money,
What?
time wise.
Oh, I know, we're doing
Right on
great.
the money.
We'll get, and then when we're done with this, we won't have to do the other things because we did the Middlesex.
Bill Callahan
Purchasing.
would be so proud.
Who would be?
Bill Callahan,
Oh,
he really would.
you would have, you're right. Okay, so we are now at 5:50, considering requests from residents of the Class 4 section of South Bear Swamp Road to reclassify an approximate 0.3 mile section of the road to Class 3. Also consideration to reclassify the entire class 4 section, approximately 0.9 mile of South Bear Swamp Road to the intersection of East and North Bear Swamp Road to a class 3. Action possible. So I just want to give a little background for some of the people that are on this meeting. And also some clarification that I did today, but I didn't include the board because there were some emails back and forth, and then that might be construed as an unwarned meeting, so I didn't include you guys on it. But I can forward you those emails after this so that you can just see. Last 2 weeks ago, John was here. Hi, John. And Mike Hill were here, and it was a different agenda item. It was an agenda item to consider like plowing and sanding during storms. And truth be told, I have to look at the agenda to see exactly what it was. I think there was a second part of the agenda. But long and short is state statute says in order to upgrade or change an existing road, you have to follow a certain procedure. And that procedure is, there's a couple ways that can happen. One is that the townspeople get a petition signed by 5% of the voters that they present to the select board. And that petition would be whatever that petition is, right? In this case, it could be, we, the people of South Bear Swamp, would like this 0.3 version of a section of the road upgraded. And here are our 75 signatures. I say 75 because that's about 5% of the town voters. Or the select board can say, you guys have brought this up a lot. We've heard a lot of concerns. We're not going to require you to collect the 5% of signatures. We ourselves are going to initiate that process. And that process, whether it's 5% of signatures or the select board deciding to just do it on their own, the next step is what's called a public hearing. And the public hearing is warned no earlier than 30 days from the time that the a motion is made by the select board or the townspeople come with 5% of the signatures. And so last week, 2 weeks ago at our meeting, we didn't make any motions. We just said as board members, you know what? Let's not require them to do the 5%. Let's, potentially make the decision ourselves to hold a public hearing. But we don't know what we want to hold a public hearing on, right? We don't know if it's for the 0.3 or maybe the whole road, because part of our process and our sort of our responsibility as board members is to evaluate any information we can collect about whatever it is that's being proposed and the cost to the town as well as the benefit to the greater public, right? So at the time, I just, it occurred to me like, well, maybe we should be thinking about the whole road because that really is more of a greater benefit. Stacy brought up, during times of flood or roads are impassable, having another point of egress might be good because you can, that's a connecting road, right? But right now it's just a class 4 road. So, so what happens tonight is very basic. Like tonight, what we are deciding on is, one, do we as a board, hold on, want to make a motion to authorize scheduling a public hearing to consider upgrading 0.3 of the road? Or do we want to do the same thing? Make a motion to authorize scheduling a public hearing for the entire road, class 4 section of that road. We are not agreeing on how much it's gonna cost. We're not even saying that we're gonna upgrade these roads. All we're saying is we're gonna hold a public hearing, maybe, right? So, or we can say, you know what, we haven't done anything yet. We haven't made any motions. We can say, we're not gonna make a motion for anything right now. And if that were the case, the townspeople have, the people on, the residents on that road have the option of collecting 75 signatures, which would force us to have a public hearing. So we talked about this last week, and I just want to just make it really clear that we did not agree to move forward with the public hearing. We agreed to consider what kind of public hearing we might go forward on. So Paul and Eric, so I will take it over, I will pass this on to you. So before we as a board can even consider if we're going to make a motion to consider having a public hearing, we'd like to know what it looks like in terms of costs. Also, you know, is this something for the greater good of the public? So Paul, I'll let you talk about what you sort of have estimated for
Yeah.
costs.
So Eric and I.
And if you guys want one of these, we
Yeah,
have,
Brian, would you?
Yeah.
There's some more over there. And
I'll
if,
share yours.
I think I would say if folks at home want a copy, we can,
Yeah,
we can make that available.
And again, these
to
are
them as
just
well.
estimates, but yeah.
So Eric and I had the opportunity yesterday, to take a ride over to South Bear Swamp and evaluate. You know, full disclosure, it's the 2nd of February, it's snow covered with a pretty good winter. So understand that our findings are only as good as the eye would allow us. Eric and I both have a pretty good idea of what's under snow, but limited. I'm gonna generalize a lot of the similarities between the proposed section that the folks on South Bear would like upgraded, as well as the additional northern portion. There's a lot of similarities. And I'm just gonna summarize quickly. Both sections are very narrow, which I would consider to be 1 to 1.5 lanes of travel at the moment. Both stretches will need a significant amount of trees and brush, large stumps to be removed in order to at least support an 18 to 20-foot travel way. That is not brought up to what we consider a class 3 standard width, but that makes it very consistent with what the majority of our roads are in Middlesex, which is generally 18 to 20 on side roads. Both will need a significant amount of ditching. The particular portion being proposed, that will need a substantial amount of stone lining due to slope percentage that's required by our better management practices.
Wait, can you just clarify to say what the parcel we're considering, what? The 0.3 or?
The 0.3, sorry, I'll try and make sure I differentiate during those times. The heavy presence of ledge at the turnaround near the Lunds. There's also, Eric and I know there's a heavy presence of ledge on the north side. A lot of it that we can't see at the moment. One thing that Eric and I want to emphasize is that because the road has always been class 4, we would feel extremely strong about the need for fabric, sub-base material, and gravel, because these roads have never seen re-graveling and proper sub-base the way that all of our other class 3 roads are. So, you know, we feel strongly about that. At the time of the visit, we were not able to determine if additional road culvert crossings would be needed on either portion. And just for the original portion that Mike Hill and the Lunds are proposing, there'll be a pretty good level of disturbance between Bill Chapin's property and the Lunds. So just kind of managing expectations for that for the folks on the road if this were to go through. On the northern side, a couple differentiating factors. There is a significant gully once you start into that north section headed back towards the section where the Lunds and Mike Hill live. It's a very deep ravine, so it would be very invasive in order to create a passable road with the steepness. It's gonna be very invasive and entail a significant amount of work to achieve what we want. That's just a quick generic summary. What I did do is I did a contractor price and I also did a budget price that if the town of Middlesex were to do the work. And those wages and rates for equipment were based off of FEMA wages, which is kind of how we get reimbursed for work and things like that. So for the requested portion of South Bear Swamp, a contractor price is in the range of $146,375. If the town of Middlesex were to do it, you'd be more just shy of 126,000. I think it's important to emphasize that a contractor would take about 4 weeks plus or minus. The town would likely be 6 weeks plus or minus, which if we kind of summarize that, that's a third of the summer. The working summer, I should say. If we go to the northern portion, and we should definitely get this for Carol.
Yeah.
Just so she has some numbers that she needs. That portion for a contractor would also take about 4 weeks plus or minus. It'd be more in the range of an additional $237,700. The town, I did not change that, but would likely be more like 8 weeks, 2 months for that portion. But it would cost an additional $201,500. So to summarize, it's a pretty large undertaking. I think it was important to do this only so that everyone had a grasp on, this is not as easy as saying, yep, it's class 3. And it makes things safe, it makes things better, because one thing that we really have to consider, our class 3 roads do need to abide by certain stormwater. Our permits, we're required by law, our funding depends on these stormwaters to make sure that stormwater is conveyed properly. We don't have discharge of sediment. And we've also got to make sure it's safe for both the traveling public and our trucks, which are very heavy. I know Mike Hill had commented that, the road, it tends to get very muddy now. Well, put one of our, 80,000-pound trucks on there in the middle of mud season, you're gonna cause a significant amount of damage on both the truck and the road. As it stands, obviously. I did take some time with Eric and we found some other class 4 roads, which there's 8 other applicable roads that are at class 4 status that do have homes on them that private homeowners do have to maintain. There's 8 of them. For reference, the shortest portion and lowest lowest concentration of footage per household would be the Upper Notch Road. That'd be an average of about 253 feet per household that's needed to be maintained. In the middle somewhere, South Bear Swamp with 5 homes is about 360 feet per household of maintenance. And the very last one, the longest one, would be Highway 48, which has 2 homes, an average of about 1,242 feet per household.
I don't know what that means.
So what that means basically, Liz, I've taken South Bear Swamp, that portion of South Bear Swamp, the total length of footage divided by, I've averaged
I
it,
see.
divided by the number of homes. So we do have 8 other very relative roads that this exact thing would apply to. So what I wanted to do is just kind of show how that broke down in comparison to other roads that have the same exact conditions, the same exact, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It shows houses, it shows footage. Because again, I think it's important. I know some are insistent that it doesn't set a precedent, but with 8 other roads that this could be applicable to, it very much does set a precedent. It very much does, 8 times worth. Those are my findings. I'm happy to kind of give my opinion. once
John
we're at
has a
that.
question.
Hi, John, South Bear Swamp Road.
John Lund from South Bear Swamp Road, Carol.
I'm just, well, I understand what you're saying, the other class 4 roads, but it's not really comparable because these roads don't lead to anywhere, right? Is that the big difference between them?
That would,
Do any of these
agree.
connect?
I agree that they're not a through road.
Right, that's what I mean.
And I'd have to, well, there are some, but I only counted it to where the last maintained home is. So I really, like, your driveway was kind of the finish line.
Right.
Brian Redmond, who happens to be here, his home is the finish line. So I didn't account for road that was not being maintained beyond another house. It was only the applicable section from class
Yeah.
3 to the last house.
Okay. I was just curious because I think the initial reasons that I had, and I think we came up with some ideas of egress and flood, resiliency, things like that, where our road being so close to the town garage and the fire department and the school and pavement put it in a different light, short, than a lot of the other class 4 sections. That's just all I want to add.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brian Redmond.
Can I add on?
So this is Brian Redmond from, Notch Road.
Thank you. Brian Redmond from the Knott Road. I live up there with my wife Sky. We're one of the 3 homeowners on the Notch Road section. This agenda item piqued my interest, but before I say that, congratulations on the FEMA news, and it's great news, and thank you for, I know it's been a ton of work, so I appreciate all the work you guys are doing on that. Yeah, so we've been on the Notch Road 14 years now, right in there, maybe even more. And I've had a lot of engagement over that history with the select board on the class 4 road, all in his former role as foreman, Eric in his current role. And I saw this agenda item. I was unaware of this other option outside of the petition and the signature. So that is definitely of interest to us. In our case, my biggest, how we're different, and my biggest issue with our situation is that the town purchased the town forest property, which was part of the land deal actually that got us our piece of property and ultimately built our house on. And since it's great for the town, great for all the people that use it in the town and all the visitors that come to town to use it. But what's happened over time with the establishment of the town forest and the town hiking trail is I have significant safety concerns over that portion of the class 4 road. So much so during the last ice storm, I actually reached out to Eric and said, can you sand this? Because I've had multiple encounters with people walking up to the town forest, children, dogs, you name it. Sometimes I'm carrying a snowplow full of snow. Other times I can't stop. It's too icy. And so it feels like a real security risk. So there's that aspect of it. And then also the 3 homeowners, really 2 of us that live there year round that are really doing the ongoing road maintenance. And, people use the road, people walk on it, people drive on it, people park on it. It's a variety of uses, and it does feel a little unfair, given the tax burden that we are obligated to maintain that road for the use by a much broader audience. I don't know how many of you have been up there, but there's it's used on a daily basis. And oftentimes that parking lot is totally full. So I saw this on the agenda and just wanted to sort of express our specific situation and our interest in trying to get that road more safe for the level of use that it sees.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And he's pertaining to Notch Road, Carol, a different road altogether. That's not, but yeah.
Well, it was a great work. I appreciate it. And you may not have answers to this question, but are there any environmental concerns?
No, we didn't see any. Everything's flowing the way it needs to. What it would be is once we open the road up to where it needs, we will have to create ditches. Right now, there's a lot of portions of the road that the shoulders, it's an old farm road. And so a lot of the shoulders have 3-foot berms. A lot of the road itself is the ditch. That's what conveys surface water.
Right.
So there's not environmental concerns. It's more managing it once we get it to that point, which is normal in our line of work. it's just has to be accounted for, yeah.
Yes, John.
The town did some ditching last year along our 3/10 section. I don't know if you were aware of that. I'm sure Eric.
I would, yeah.
And lined it with stone, and I don't know if that could stay. But that whole section from Herrick Brook up to the top, you know, by Feldman's there was ditched, I think.
I think it has to be moved over
It would have to be moved, yeah.
to make it wider.
And you mentioned, you know, class 3 roads fall under all these strict guidelines
I
for
see you, Shelley. Just a minute.
BMPs and management of water. Why don't class 4s? I mean, that seems like that would be important too.
They do and don't, but because of the level of maintenance the state requires on those,
Okay.
they just are different classification. And we get funding that's different based on class 3 and class 4. It's a much lower number for class 4.
Yeah.
It basically allows us to get some reimbursement if that large culvert blows out.
Right.
That's what it's kind of there for. But class 3s, even with FEMA, and FEMA won't cover class 4 work.
Oh.
No,
Yeah, they do.
No,
they
they
do.
do.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
They do.
But we get funded differently as far as state aid goes for class 3 and class 4, difference.
Yeah, and actually in response to that, we did reach out to FEMA to see like, do they fund it less? And that's actually not the case, but but it's more about what their standards are,
Yeah.
right? So like their standards are gonna cost less, because it's a class 4, the upgrading or whatever happened to that road is gonna cost less. So it's not comparing, you know, your section to say McCullough Hill, which was a class 3 and had much, you know, longer road of damage. You can't say this amount got more than us, but by default, because they're not upgrading it back to a class 3 standard, it's gonna cost less. Yes, Shelley.
Yes, and I'm talking a little bit about a history of all the roads, because I think the gentleman had asked about the other class 4 roads, and I know that Notch Road was one of them. If I remember correctly, used to go right across to Waterbury Center before the beaver dams came up and kind of kept washing it out when they changed it from a class 3. And then along with Mead Road, I think used to go down Route 2 before the interstate was made. So that was a little bit of history. But I think Bear Swamp also, didn't that connect at one time?
Yep.
So I think that most of the roads at one point were class 3 and end up changing to class 4 because of changes in the road or the conditions.
Thank you, Shelley. So tonight, you guys, our agenda item is to do we want as a board to not require 75 signatures, 5% of the voters, and instead, let me just bring up my email. It's a little bit easier for me to read this so that it's clear. So basically, what I said to the folks is that, do we want to make a motion to initiate proceedings to hold a public hearing to consider, upgrading some section of South Bear Swamp Road, either the 0.3 and end it at the Lunds? Or do we want to consider holding a public hearing to upgrade the entire class 4 road, which would, you know, potentially have, you know, open up the egress, and have a greater benefit to the town? Like, do we want to hold this? Do we want to consider on our own initiating a public hearing? Because we have that right as a board to do that. Yeah, go ahead, Stacy.
Okay. So I think I really appreciate the work Paul and Eric have put into this in giving us kind of a price tag, a very like high level overview of how much work would go into any improvements to allow us to reclassify the South Bear Swamp, the class 4 segment of South Bear Swamp to a class. And I think that because of the amount of work, of capital, that's going to be required for that undertaking, I am no longer comfortable with taking this up on our own accord. I think there needs to be sufficient public buy-in through the petition process. It's going to be a big line item that we will have to justify in the next budget if it does, like, and so I guess I see it as kind of a combination of like public relations, like it's going to be expensive. This sounds very distinguishable from the reclassification of 0.3 miles of Macaulay Hill Road in 2015. In that reclassification did not require like significant improvement to the road itself. It was a matter of plowing and sanding through the winter, as far as I know. And I think that while that decision appears to have been made by the select board on its own motion, we do not have to take it up on our own motion. And I think where, again, the scale of the work contemplated here strongly favors the petition requirement that would communicate to the board and also to the town that this is a project that's important. And that requires all of the town taxpayers to contribute towards and recognize. So I also have concerns, as Rob had pointed out in our last meeting, if we take this up, any segment on our own, there's a really good argument that we would not be able to ask the homeowners that stand to benefit the most directly for contribution towards the town's costs in those improvements, because the town is the petitioner as opposed to the homeowners that live on South Bear Swamp Road. And while Mike Hill has stated previously that he would be happy to contribute, we would have no legal recourse if he elects to not do that. Or just like we have no way to sort of have anybody keep them to their promise if they say that they would chip in. So I think the combination of knowing that any work that we do, if it's on our own motion, reclassifying these roads would be borne solely by the select board without any opportunity to ask the homeowners benefiting to contribute or offset the cost in any way, makes me uncomfortable in taking this on our own, as opposed to requesting that the petition be submitted, that we consider the matter through formal petition. I don't want it to come off as punitive. I understand there's a lot of there's a lot behind the request that, many of us were not involved in. And so I want to be sensitive to that, but the reality is that we're just dealing with the here and now, and I think these numbers warrant signatures and town buy-in. Unfortunately, it's a big ask. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you for that. I just want to clarify one thing before I comment, because I did talk with Rob Halper about that very piece around the fact that we, if the town initiated it, would that mean that there's no opportunity for us to put in a stipulation that that the homeowners pay for the upgrade if we were to move forward with, say, the 0.3?
Right, there's an argument that we can't. There's an argument that we can, because no one said that we can't.
Yeah, so there's, right, so yes,
Yep.
clear as mud.
Yep.
But that he, so if we were, so I guess what I want to say is if we were to hold a public hearing, the public hearing is where we actually would potentially make a decision. And so I hear what you're saying, it might have more
I think we can.
legs to stand on if there were other townspeople agreeing to this change. Because I agree, if we were to pay, we don't even have it in the budget, right? So like, we don't have $150,000 to upgrade it. It would have to be something that we, I don't know the answer to this. Like, if we were in a public hearing to say, yes, we're gonna do this, we're gonna vote to upgrade this 0.3 section of class 4. You know, is there a piece of it that says contingent upon raising the money for it in a town, you know, on a warning? I don't know.
It could go several ways in that regard.
I think it could,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, and I'm not even sure if we're beholden, even if we were to say, yes, we're gonna do this. We're beholden to it if we don't have the money to do it, right? So that being said, if really it was like, no, we really want you to do this and we will pay for it as long as you know, we'll pay for the upgrade. But then, you know, for the rest of the time, you guys do maintenance and upgrade. I don't know that Stacy, how you're sort of interpreting it is that there's no guarantee, but I still think that you can still move to a public hearing and find out that information then.
Totally, we could, we can, but I think if we do it on our own motion, we foreclose the clarity. You know, so if we move for a public hearing on the issue, on either segment,
Yeah.
that we no longer have a very clear
A
path.
very clear path. Yeah.
And we would be in an legally ambiguous place that,
And I might argue that it actually harms the homeowners more than it helps them, because we might be more apt to say no if we don't have a true clarity on who's gonna pay for it.
I think the details can be worked out after, at least.
spoken like a contractor.
Right. What do you
Well-
think, Larry?
So.
Yeah, I'd like, yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of back and forth on this, but, and I understand your point, I kind of disagree with Stacy. We're gonna have a hearing, it's a public hearing. The public, the townspeople are gonna come and either be in favor of it or not in favor of it. So we could sit here and say, well, we're not gonna take it up. And then these fine gentlemen go out and they get this 5% signatures, we're gonna have the same hearing. So I get it, and I know this might.
At least they got 75 people who are
Back and forth
saying-
about it,
Do it.
but
Are you gonna get 75 people? That's
Okay,
not
I'm
good.
sorry, Mr. Steve, you just, if you want to talk, if you wouldn't mind muting and then just raising your hand so that we can call on you
Okay.
formally.
so I think to me, it's, and I'm, there may be a little bit of legalese I don't understand, but it does, to me, if we end up having a hearing one way or another, the board's gonna decide to go forward or not go forward, and if you know, obviously the money is gonna be a huge issue. And we don't have the money to do this now, or it's not even proposed in our budget coming up town meeting. You know, maybe those are some of the details, we push the project off or something to that effect, but that would be discussed in the hearing. But I think we're gonna be forced to face this if they go and get signatures anyway. So I feel like we're kind of avoiding the big question, and I'd rather have it all on the table, invite the public. And so I'm in favor of the select board going forward and having the hearing. Because, and we make sure the public comes in, all the families from all the different places come in. I am worried about setting a precedent, although I hear, I forgot your name, I'm sorry.
Brian.
Brian, I forgot, Brian's got a good cause too. He's got
Right.
everyone using the town forest going through a piece of road that he has to take care of. So that's a concern too. So there's all these different little issues on these 8 locations. I'm sure these other people would have something to say too. So maybe it's something that we need to address as a whole, you know, and I don't know. I mean, I frankly, I thought the figures were gonna be higher, and they might be, and they could be, right?
It's February, it's 3 feet
Yeah,
of snow, so.
and then
give
we
us
all
a
know,
little
when you get
grace.
into a project, right,
Yeah.
there's always things here and there that come up that could cost
Yeah.
more. So anyway, I feel one way or the other, if they have the opportunity to go and get the signatures, we're gonna have a hearing, or we could just have our own hearing. So I don't, my feeling is we should just vote to have a hearing. I want to put this on the table and make a decision, and you know, these fine people have been waiting for years for this decision. You know, so I just think we owe them an answer one way or another. I'm not saying I'm in favor of doing it because the money issue, there's a lot of other issues that I'm considering,
You're
but
the public hearing, right?
yeah, but I'm in favor of just us going through it.
And I just want to, and just one quick question in regard to Stacy, but also what you just said, is that in my conversations with Rob, he was not concerned about the option of having some requirement that if we're gonna move forward with at least the 0.3, that if there's a contingency that they will pay for it. Otherwise, we won't do it. kind of thing. So I have less of a worry about what you're saying, Stacy, because of my conversations with Rob. But I do know what Stacy's saying. She's saying, you know, there's no ambiguity if the 75 signatures come and we say to them, well, we'll do it, but you have to pay for it. But there is a little ambiguity right now. But Rob made it sound like, you know, because again, we can still, if we find out in 2 weeks, or it's really more like a month, 45 days when we have this hearing, if we find out in between that, oh, there really is some vagueness, we can just say, no, we're not doing this, and you guys can come up and, you know, have another public hearing if you wanted to, under your own volition. So, okay,
Yeah, I first want to say, just from my perspective, I sympathize with the amount of whatever happened with past administration promises, threats. I don't hold that against us. Don't hold, you know, so just like what Stacy said, you know, we can only focus on the here and now. For me, given the level of work and dollars that it would take to fulfill this, my personal opinion is that it is not in the best interest of the board to initiate this. It's my opinion that we are here to do what's best on behalf of the greater town. And by proposing this, and this is where it gets tough in this position.
Yeah, I see you.
Because we are faced with what our heart feels is good and right versus what financially we're responsible to be obligated to. And again, I know there's other roads that have great deal of things going on too. Because of the amount of money, because of the debt we're currently in, the amount of damage around town, there's other class 4s. I also don't support, I think we reiterated it last time, support any additional maintenance right now for this road over and above what our class 4 road policy states. That would get us in severe hot water with folks on other roads. It's just, there's a reason why we have a policy, and by violating the policy, we violate all the work that we do to uphold the policy. So
And that's not even under consideration.
Right, it's more of a reiteration. I do think one of Mike's emails did mention that, so
Yes, and he
so I
did,
just
and that
wanna,
was,
I
yeah,
wanna re-clarify my stance on
I
that,
totally agree. Yeah, we're not doing any kind of maintenance
for sure.
class 4 roads right now during winter.
Yeah,
Sky, you had a comment.
Hi. Actually, Paul just alluded to it, but I was wondering, so I guess there is a policy. I was just curious if there's, you know, maybe looking at this holistically, like, is there a policy around square houses per footage, you know, road footage, or public access, or, you know, because every road was new at some point, right? And is there a point where there's a certain a number of homes that triggers an upgrade to the road? I'm just wondering if there's like a more holistic approach we could take.
I mean, the legal standard is whether the public good, necessity, and convenience of the inhabitants of the municipality require that the highway be reclassified. So, you know, it is holistic. That's how it's worded in the statutes, and that's how it's been interpreted by the courts. You know, we can consider whether and how many homeowners are most directly benefited by the decision, but also does it serve the greater good of the town? Those both have to be taken into account, and it has to be supported by competent evidence. We can't just decide things because we feel a certain way,
and that's kind of where I am in full support of you guys getting signatures to do this. But I'll be honest, from my perspective of the board, it's not in the best interest of the town to do this. It's a significant amount of money. It kind of shows in some sense, and there's argument on both sides, that we kind of agree to the evidence that's been brought to us, that there is evidence to support this, when I feel that there's evidence that says we just plain can't afford to play, you know, to really contemplate this from us. If the residents were to bring it up to class 3 standards, I would be in very much support of taking it over.
But isn't that a question for the hearing rather than whether we should have a hearing, like what the cost is? I think the cost is, I think the cost estimate was to go out and figure out, hey, do we wanna do have a hearing for the whole thing or for just the 0.3? So,
Right.
you know, at this point, I just think to make them jump through more hoops to come to the same decision that we're gonna have to sit and make as a board is just time consuming.
It's just where I'm at, Larry. If this were to go through, my vote would actually stay the same because of because it doesn't change the dollar amount. No matter how we get there, the project is the project. So for me, the factual evidence is really all I need to determine where I stand on it. And that's all. It's just.
I'd like to
Sorry.
recognize Sandy Levine.
Thanks. My dinner's cooking and my timer just went off. I apologize for the background noise. Sorry, I wanted to address Sky's point about a more holistic approach. I know some other towns have a class 4 road policy that identifies under what circumstances will a town upgrade a class 4 road. And I was thinking of bringing that to the planning commission to have a conversation about that, you know, regardless of what the select board does with this matter. And also just acknowledge that both the town plan also addresses roads and class 4 roads as well.
Right, and in fact, the decisions that get made about whether or not you're gonna upgrade also include is that in the town plan, right? Like, is that a part of the town plan? And the planning commission gets involved in that. So this is not, the public hearing involves also planning commission. It's not just this one and done kind of thing.
Do you have any?
You know, so what's gonna, I mean, so let's just, this way. If I agree with Larry, I'm just going both ways. If I agree with Larry, we are at a standstill because we're not gonna get a vote. Okay, so in a way, I don't mind having a public hearing and taking this to the next level. And hearing what the public may have to say, because I do believe that if we advertise this enough, we're gonna get a lot of people saying, you know, hey, but what about me? Or, oh yeah, I think that's a great idea, but I think we should do the whole road, right? Like this could be an opportunity. I do worry that they actually won't get 75 signatures, you know, just because I don't know what they'd be asking for. If they'd be asking for the whole road or they'd be asking for just their section. If they're asking for the whole road, they might get 75 signatures. If they're asking for just their section, they may not. And so I don't mind going to the public hearing, but if you guys are pretty adamant that you want this to be coming from the towns, from the road people as a petition, we need 3 of us to agree on something. And or we need 3 of us to agree on making a motion. And since we only have 2 people, no one's gonna make a motion. Or I can make a motion, but only one person's gonna vote for it, and we won't have a quorum. So we could do that. Someone could make a motion, Larry could make a motion, and we could vote on it. And the motion could be, Larry, that you are moving to, and in fact, I wrote it down, what a motion might sound like. To authorize the board to schedule a public hearing pursuant to VSA 19, section 7(8) and 709 to consider upgrading the whatever section of Bear Swamp Class Road to a class 3 to consider scheduling the public hearing no earlier than 30 days from today. So if you wanted to make that motion, you could.
Are there any more comments before I do, or anything else?
Is there any comments from the Zoom or the audience, the in-person? Yes,
I would
Brian.
just reiterate again, Brian Redmond for the record. I support what Sky and Sandy said about a more holistic approach and evaluating under which circumstances the road gets upgraded. And just to be very clear on the record, in our situation, I do believe
with the creation of the town forest, that you've created a public health risk and a public health hazard. With not creating separate and distinct access and using the road as the access when it's not maintained. It is a dangerous situation and something will happen at some point.
Okay, thank you for that, Brian. And you know, that might be something where 75 signatures is easy to get because it's for the public good, and for the people who use the town forest. Yes, Shelley.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Larry. Now, the gentleman that was there before had mentioned that they were willing to pay for the upgrade. And I don't know if they were willing to pay that much, according to what Paul said it would be. But if they had something like that in writing, and then why wouldn't we go to just a public hearing if they're going to pay for the initial fix of the road?
Right, and that wouldn't be decided anyway until the public hearing. So we don't need to talk about money tonight. Like money
Okay.
isn't, money's not the discussion tonight. It's whether or not it's moving to having a public hearing.
Okay.
To discuss this.
Actually, they've come, you know, in front of the board so many times already, and to have to go out and get signatures, it's just
Right,
seems.
and that's what Larry's argument is.
Yeah.
So, Larry, I guess if you're also thinking about making a motion, would you want it to be for the whole section or for the,
Just the point three, I believe, to the lines. That would be
Okay.
my motion.
Okay, so, so Larry is making a motion to authorize the board to schedule a public hearing pursuant to VSA 19, sections 708 and 709, no earlier than 30 days from today, to consider upgrading the 0.3 plus or minus section of the Bear Swamp Class 4 road to a Class 3 road. Is that your motion, Larry?
Correct, that's my motion.
That's Larry's motion. Is there a second to this motion? Okay, I will second the motion. Okay. All those in favor of said motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So the motion fails. So that means that the next step is if you want to pursue this, John, you need to collect 5% of the voters. And is that 75 signatures?
79.
79 signatures. And Cheryl has the paperwork for that. Like there's a form that you go around, there's probably, yeah, it's a petition and you have to create the language for that. So I'm sorry that that's the turnout for that.
Can I make?
Yeah.
Liz,
Yes.
I mean, the other thing, like, that's, like, I would move to reclassify the entire class 4 section, which is about 0.9 miles of South Bear Swamp Road, to a class 3. So I would move for a public hearing on the entire road.
Okay.
Because again, that supports I think that serves the town, the greater town, in providing an alternative route lead of the flooding.
Okay. So did you get that, Carol? She's making the same exact motion, only it's 0.9 miles, the entire class 4 section to the intersection of East and North Bear Swamp. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Larry seconds that motion. Okay. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor of the second motion to hold a public hearing for the entire class 4 section of the road no earlier than 30 days from today, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the ayes have it. So now, Mr. Lund, there will be a public hearing about the entire section of the road. And if we are to look at our calendars, I would like to just get that scheduled. Rob suggested if we were to hold a public hearing, it would be 45 days. He said you should do it within 45 days or like.
So mid-March?
Yeah, probably what are we on for the calendar right now? It's
Town meeting day is the.
Yeah.
Sixth.
So we're probably gonna have to do it later than that, only because
First Tuesday of the month.
because we have town meeting days the third. We then have, our organizational meeting, I think we decided we were gonna do. What did we decide?
Two. Oh, no, I don't remember.
All right.
Thanks, Eric. So our town meeting is the
We
third.
were meeting on the 17th and the 31st.
Yeah, so we, no,
Or was it the 10th and the 24th, and then we start on the 7th? Maybe I.
yeah, so we were gonna meet the third, we weren't meeting the third because of town meeting, we were gonna meet the
Okay.
10th. And then we were gonna meet the 24th. Now, I believe that this is going to take more time than just a blurb in the select board meeting. I think we're gonna have to have a special meeting, but I'd like to do it on a Tuesday if that works for you
I
guys.
agree.
So organizational meeting is March 10th.
I would like to do it the 31st. If that's possible,
Regular meeting, okay.
March 31st. And then let me just go to, so that's how many days from now? 7 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is like 50 days or so from now.
That's ample.
Yeah. So, so maybe by that time too, Paul, we can have maybe a better sense of a cost for the whole road. Because that's what we are going to be discussing.
The only
is
problem
moving
is,
to public hearing.
unless the snow melts. This is
You're
the
not
best
gonna
we've
see,
got.
yeah, that's.
That's unfortunately, until the snow melts.
Prime mud season though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it won't,
Flavor for-
if I, if the weather allows us the opportunity.
Right. So I'm gonna have to work with Rob on what this public hearing looks like, because I think you have to have a site visit,
Mhm.
maybe Sandy knows all this too. You have to have a site visit, the planning commission has to be involved. The town, we have to warn abutting landowners, it's a process, it's a pretty big process. And I don't know exactly what that.
Out of curiosity, can we do the site visit at that time?
Sometimes we do, we have it right before and then we go back to the.
No, the only reason I say it is the amount of snow, remember McCullough Road, it was in the
Yeah.
summer?
Mhm.
That's the only, we're talking about doing this in the middle of March.
Maybe we need to push it to April.
I'm just throwing it out there
I
for
think maybe we should,
actual.
I think that's a good idea.
The concern.
I thought we had to have the hearing within 30 days.
No, we know
No
more.
less than.
No
No
less than
less
30
than.
days.
No less than.
Oh, I push it out.
14th or the 28th, if we wanted.
Yeah.
To.
How about I think April 14th, is snow gone then or not? It should be.
Enough,
I think enough.
Yeah.
is gone.
but March,
All right, so let's do April 14th.
Same.
And that will be a,
Oh, it says one time.
probably what that's gonna be is,
Know where it's going.
let's just call it 5 o'clock. And we'll figure out where we are. Okay, this is called a public.
It looked pretty through there with the snow and all the maple trees, I'll tell you that. It looked really pretty, it was picturesque. It was real Vermont through there. It was pretty.
Okay. And I did, this is not on the agenda, but I was taken by what Brian said about that section. I know what he's talking about. It's a steep section and.
So just for clarity, at one time, I was working with the state to upgrade and install a parking area at the top of the state forest, which would actually correspond with the town forest. Subsequently, the guy who I was doing it with was retiring. Money was lost. I no longer worked for the town, and we were without a road foreman for 12
Interesting.
months.
Okay.
So
Without 12 months, you guys went without a road?
it was a long time. I don't remember, 6.
Yeah.
It was a long time. But there was actually workings, the state was gonna fund a lot of the upgrade
Mhm.
to support, Brian's claims are not false.
No, I
Right
know,
there.
yeah, I mean, I know,
Yeah.
I know what he's talking about,
Yeah.
because people do drive up there and the parking lot, you have to walk
Yeah.
to the
They
town
park in
forest.
his drive, like in his
Yeah,
drive.
I'm sure they do,
It's a
yeah.
bummer.
And yeah, so that's unfortunate. So, you know, that could be just for the future.
I think
It could-
it's going to come back.
Yeah,
I think this, you know, we can put this on the agenda if this is going too far off track, but like. It did dawn on me that like maybe our class 4 policy can like, I think having a class 4 road policy would be really helpful. Because there's some ambiguity and
we do have a class 4.
oh, we did,
Yes.
well, we have a
Yeah.
roads policy.
We have a class 4 policy.
So, but do we have a policy on when we reclassify class 4 roads?
No, we go by the state's
Yeah.
policy on how to reclassify.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, we could adopt a policy that
Yes.
says that we will not consider any further, like, that it has to be by petition. That's what I'm thinking, like, I think what I'm concerned about is that, you know, the fact that the select board can do this on its own means, like, what is that?
But the
actually
state,
practice?
the statutes say that we can't honor the statute.
It says that we can, but we can adopt, I'm sure we can adopt a policy that says that we don't want to exercise that right.
Oh,
And so.
maybe. I don't know.
The Stacy Rob question.
This is a Stacy and Rob question, yeah.
I mean, it's just, it is what it is,
Well, you know, it's so funny because I said to, I'm always saying to Rob when I'm reading these statutes, where does it say this, Rob? Like you keep saying this is, but, and he's like, it's implied. And
Implied.
I'm like, okay, it would be, and he's like, so many of these statutes are just, you know, they're made by people like me, right? Like.
Right.
People who are voted in and, you know, just like, oh, I'm gonna write this and, you know, and then. There are definitely like room for interpretation of things.
Loopholes.
Yeah, somewhat, yeah. So, okay, then I think that the only thing that I wanted to say, other matters, we have our orders. So that concludes our section, John, and you're welcome to stay, but,
Thank you.
and, I just want to say that I did get I had a lively back and forth with a, townsperson about the options tax. And just sort of where we're at with that. And I just had forwarded to him that original, email from the state of like how you as a townsperson can, you know, let us know if you're getting charged the options tax. So I sent that along to him, and then there was something that he, I forget what else, he brought up something else, that I was like, oh, what was his name? Oh, he had originally asked us about the A&R, that's what it was. And so I just explained to him what was, happening with the A&R violations. But then he brought up the options tax, so that was my, correspondence with anyone outside of that. Okay, so, any other matters that come before the board? Hearing none, is there a motion to close the meeting, to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Larry. Is there a second to adjourn the meeting?
I will second.
And Paul seconds it. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Orca.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Carol. I look forward to your minutes, Carol. I promise I'll read them earlier. I know.